It's wonderful that we have had the time now to slightly relax ourselves in this lockdown here in the UK. As a woman, I've always understood that balancing your work life and your social life and your life with your family is the hardest task a woman has, because trying to juggle all these three balls and make sure that all stays afloat is really hard, especially in this lockdown. I think for me, it's been hardest to actually not be able to do what I passionately enjoy doing, which is actually dancing, um, hosting my events in live with hundreds of people coming. So the whole point of inspiring Indian women, inviting some powerful women to a podium where they share their thoughts, their journeys, their experiences, um, has been an absolutely breath of fresh air for me. I've had the pleasure of meeting Captain Neera Shah just a few weeks ago, trying to understand where she comes from, what takes her on this journey of joining the British Army, and how she took herself from a situation of being the traditional, sort of traditional roles of being a Gujarati girl coming from a family that is supposedly expecting you to be a doctor, lawyer, accountant, to actually challenging herself and choosing a profession that is completely fresh and new and inspiring to women. I also have with us a lady called Charul Gupta, who is a product manager, senior product manager with Transport for London, and she leads on the technology products for all surface transport services to address the transport needs of London. Personally, I have no idea what this job entails and how it challenges her as a woman. So it's going to be exciting as a woman to find out what this field is. So two really great fields that we're going to talk to each other about. And last but not the least, if we do get the opportunity, we're going to meet with a lady called Dr. Rita Jairath, who is a pro league athlete and judge, writer, world peace ambassador, and there's a lot more to her that you're going to. So without further ado, I'm going to say on behalf of Inspiring Indian Women and myself, Darshini, I'd like to ask you all, welcome Captain Neera Shah and Charul Gupta to talk their life and journey being a woman in a field that is challenging. So may I first start with Captain Neera Shah. Welcome again, and I'm so delighted I have the opportunity to meet you again, a bit more about your life as an army personnel.
Thank you so much. That's really kind of you. It's great to be here. I know I had fun last time, and I really enjoyed being sort of having the discussion with you and all the other fantastic women who I got to meet. So thank you so much.
So, I may, Captain, I would like to ask you, when you've taken yourself on a journey to do that most women sort of question about and don't just jump into it, because it's something that there's. What would you say would be the first step that you took with yourself to do this?
Sorry, there was a bit of interference. Sorry, would you mind repeating the question?
I said, as a woman, when you first decided, okay, I'm going to choose a career, and then this came along, even if you fell into it or you sort of chose to go pursue working for the army, how did you convince yourself that I'm not going to play the traditional role of being a corporate person, just doing something casual to something which might take a lot more out of me?
So I think the best thing about my role in the army is that I don't need to choose. I can do both. But what I think is the most important thing about my life is having those people around me, that harmonious coexistence where everybody who surrounds me supports me. So when I chose to jump into military life, I had the discussion with my family. I made sure that I found a partner who was accepting and really supportive of me. it's impossible to do this kind of role without having that backup and without having those people behind you. I have a lot of inspiring women in my family. My grandparents, my grandmothers both moved from India to Africa without their husbands, separately, with a whole load of kids in tow. Nobody ever asked them, "Beta, do you want to go?" They just kind of up and moved. And then again, they up and moved from Africa to the UK. Nobody asked them. I'm pretty sure none of Idi Amin's people asked them, "Would you like to leave?" But they ended up coming. And I've always had that sort of determination. They did what was best for their children. And I've always done what's best for me. And my parents have always instilled in me to do what's best for me as well.
So whilst we're trying to understand the basic logistics of trying to work things out, the one thing that you said last time, and I sort of took on board, and I shared it with my daughter and my sister as well, because they are women that mean a lot to me, and I often talk about this thing. I realized that you made a conscious decision to choose people around you that are supportive of your career. I think, did you, so here's my question. Did you have to sort of gently ease them into what you're doing, or were they always accommodating of the choices that you make? And did you have to travel or for training for a long time?
Yeah, yes, I had to ease them into it quite a bit. My personality has always been a kind of guns blazing sort of person. Something of this magnitude, something this important to my life, I knew that I had to take time and ease them into it. And for anybody who was listening last time, they'll know that it was a long time coming. It was a 10-year process, and easing them into a very, very different.
Sorry, may I interrupt you there? Can you explain to me, when you said a 10-year process, so to join the British Army took you 10 years, or was it step by step, the procedure from going to GCSEs and all of that took you 10 years to come to that?
So my sort of the speak to my family and having them sort of be in tune with what I wanted, that was a 10-year process. Going away and joining the army, yes, it does require going away. I left for an entire month to join the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst. They're very flexible with the reservists, so you can choose to do weekends, you can choose to do 1 week here, 1 week there. At the most, you go away for 2 weeks every year, but I chose to do it all in one go, because I said, once they get me in there, I want to come out as I want to come out as an officer, and I don't want to come out as anything else. At the time, my fiance had just proposed to me not long before, and in the 4 weeks you get a little gap in between. You get about just under 48 hours of leave, and he drove down 2 hours to pick me up, drove me back home for 2 hours, put me straight to bed because I'd already fallen asleep in the car, fed me pizza, and drove me back down again. And that really, I mean, that just demonstrates that the type of people that I have around me, and the level of support that I have. My work with the army is demanding and rewarding in equal aspects, and it's rewarding for everyone around me, I feel.
Yeah, so I just wanted to actually tell people that are listening to you, as I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Capt Neera Shah is a specialist pharmacist and officer of the British Army. She lives in the UK and endeavours to show women here in the UK the possibility of joining a field that is challenging, and it is possible for the Indian diaspora to serve both the country and your culture. She's a strong feminist. She's active in her pursuit of gender equality and challenging those that seek to oppress. As a woman, I always feel everything that I do is a role model to my daughter. And today you're still at the step where you are responsible at the moment just for yourself, and you are working towards building a family and having children. What do you think, other than the fact that you're blessed with a cooperative partner, what do you think a woman from an early age? So I have a 13-year-old and she always questions me. So mom, do you do love marriage? Do you do arranged marriage? How have you taken yourself on that journey?
I think the most important thing is communication and open communication. So having for yourself, having that open forum and allowing your daughter to have that open forum to ask those questions is so important. I don't think I've got any secrets from my mum. I speak to her about everything, and I know that's not always the case in a lot of households, especially a lot of Indian households. I was blessed to go to a couple of all-girls schools, so I was literally from quite a young age surrounded by women. My family is also very women-heavy, so the women around me, we are open, we are honest, we have that communication. And if I had to ask a hard question, or if I had to ask something that was a little bit tough or challenging, I would never ever feel I would never be made to feel like, why are you asking that? That's not the kind of question that you ask, or we don't talk about those things in this household.
Right.
If you make a subject taboo, that stigma from a young age, that stigma stays with a child or a young person for a long, long time.
Right. So I get what you're saying, and it does make complete sense. With me, I also have Charul Gupta, who comes from a field that is extremely different. Charul, may I first say a huge welcome and thank you for joining us on this podium. Inspiring Indian Women is truly blessed to have women who push boundaries. So, Charul, I don't know anything about your field, and women that might listen to you today and on Facebook at a later date would be intrigued to understand where you come from, where do you live, what do you do? I think you'll have to unmute.
I'm sorry. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, first of all, it's my pleasure to be here, and a really interesting conversation that I've heard till now. I have a 3-year-old with me, and I have a 3-year-old daughter. So I can very much relate to, and there have been instances where I have traveled for work, and when she was 1 year old. So there were so many thoughts that were coming to my head. But before I start, I'll just answer your question, Darshini, that you've asked. Thank you for that. So yes, so I work as a senior product manager for Transport for London, and I lead on technology products for surface transport services. So what does it mean is, like, I'll try to explain. So basically, for instance, you need, I just try to take a very common example. You see your bus, so how the bus moves, you then see the time that when is your bus about to come, and then you see on your apps and stuff, when is your bus supposed to come. So all this is driven by technology. There are products that are being fit in the bus. So bus for us is a product where we can actually track it. We can actually see where it is going. So all those technology comes under me. So minus underground, if you talk about, if you're from London, you'll be familiar, like buses, DLR, trams, underground, sorry, not underground, overground. So technology products for all these transport services is what I lead on in London.
It's exciting.
I hope it was it made a little sense. Yeah.
It does. And you know what's really interesting is that yesterday when I was watching the news, what really intrigued me is that one of the things that they shared was that obviously the figures I might be not exact, but I would say that it said that UK's revenue from the gaming industry was £5.8 billion, I think, last year. So I would say in the lockdown period that they were referring to. And the most interesting part for us was that 60% growth in women gaming is something that is completely new to our field. And the fact that so many women are now technology savvy, they probably going into fields such as coding, gaming, software development, doing what you do, Charul. I think that is the interesting part. My daughter and your daughter and a lot of women who are out there raising daughters will think, well, there will be fields where our child will go into which were unthinkable. I can't remember ever speaking to a captain from the army in my childhood. So it's exciting, but at the same time, in terms of challenges, do you deal with, both of you can answer one after the other, do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
deal with a lot of men, or now you find that it's a balanced working field?
I can take that question. So if I talk about technology, we are far ahead. Like we have a far, like a long way to reach still. Because in terms of technology, overall, if I talk about, I don't think so we've even reached 25%. So yes, there are still a long way for us to, like, a long path for us to take before we can actually reach like 50% is still like, a far, far away. So yes, there, it is still, like, you can say it is like, the ratio is not, yeah, the ratio is not good. But the thing is, what I'll say is all the organizations, and especially like, I'm founder member of Women in Tech at TFL. And, we've come up with this community with the whole idea for this community is to raise awareness for more women to take technology as careers. And actually we help them build confidence so that they can, help them develop skills or put themselves forward so that they can take technology roles. And all the work that we've been doing, and also I lead on many initiatives with schools as well to spread awareness with school kids in terms of technology careers. So yes, it has brought a lot of like, it has changed the stats, if I would like to say, especially in TFL. I can say that we are at a very good place right now in terms of we are improving. But overall, if I talk about global scenario, I think a lot needs to be done. And these are the sort of small initiatives that we take, and actually it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference because when you set up some such forums as the one that I have set up, people come, women come, they talk about it, they talk about the taboos. Because at times, if I ask you to close your eyes right now and just imagine a person coding, you might just imagine Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates, right? You wouldn't imagine a woman still. So so that's the thing. But as when you talk to people, when you like, for instance, when I go to school kids, I realize that a lot of women, a lot of girls take STEM, take science, but they don't pursue it further. They take it as a subject, but then they drop it, like, they don't choose it as a career. And that is because there is a lot of like, awareness thing as well. For instance, you would think that technology is all about coding. It is not. There are other things as well. We have people who've come from food background, who've come from like, all sorts of music background, and they are working in technology. So
Yeah, I
it is
mean,
about spreading awareness. Yeah.
I agree with you, because when I was watching this program yesterday, my eyes kind of literally opened in awe when the chap who was talking about how much the industry is changing and how many women are now going to be inspired. Because like you said, music industry, there's so much gaming in terms of general, even filming, and you could
Yeah.
have programs set up. When you both of you, so now I would ask this question to Captain Neera. When you, and like Charul has set up Women in Tech, do you enjoy going to, or do you actually do put your feelers out to say, you know what, I want to go to local schools and colleges and talk to people about choosing this as a career? Or at the moment it's just too much of a difficult time to juggle work and this kind of social work?
No, I think it's an integral part of what we do, and I feel like it's part of my duty as a woman, as an Indian woman as well, especially that if Charulji and if we don't put our faces out there,
Yeah.
how are people going to know that these opportunities exist?
I agree.
Sometimes it's not, the education system is such that, okay, maybe they assume that that these opportunities are available, but unless people see it in front of their face, unless you put your face out there, how are people going to know? I've done a radio interview, I've done newspaper interviews. I'd love to get out more into our own communities, but everywhere really. Unfortunately, COVID is slightly pushed back on that a little bit. But yeah.
So I have a question in terms of your special pharmacist and officer of the British Army. What does that mean? That will it mean that, say, for instance, if there's a scenario where you're needed as a body to go to actually the war fields, you will have to put yourself out there and you will actually be a soldier, but on the other area you would be a pharmacist? Is that how it works?
So with the army, you're always soldier first. It doesn't matter what your role is, you're always a soldier first. That means that no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, you have your soldier's hat on, as well as whatever else you're trained in. You know, I'm really privileged to work alongside doctors and paramedics and you know, nurses, dental nurses, mental health nurses, a whole hospital's worth essentially of medical professionals. And there's no doubt in my mind that they are all soldier first. So you do your job as a soldier and you do your job as a pharmacist.
So there's something that has always made me wonder about women coming from India and women that are born and brought up here. Charul, I assume that, correct me if I'm
I'm
wrong.
from India.
Yeah. So, and Capt Neera, you're born and brought up in this country. I mean, I know you said you're African ties, but you're obviously from the UK. Now, this is a discussion that I was having with someone. When you grow up in a country like India, being a woman, you've always, I know Indira Gandhi was there, I know Sarojini Naidu was there, and there are all these inspiring women that have had some amazing roles in Jhansi Ki Rani, and they're all there.
Yeah.
I'm not that. But as a woman, I've always felt that I had to be slightly bit more gentler, a bit more subservient, and that the strong personality that I am needs to be reined back a bit. When you chose the fields that you did, and when you actually worked in the fields that you did, and I would ask Charul and then Neera to answer it, did you feel that you had to kind of subdue your passion, your personality, and be a bit more obedient? Or did you feel, you know what, it doesn't matter, I'm good at my job and I'll just focus on delivering?
Yeah, so yes, I'm born and brought up in India. And to be honest, like the first international country that I visited was UK and London after my marriage. I've never been abroad before. Like for like, you know, for tourism purposes, that's different. But yes, never for work. So this was my first country. It was very interesting because everything was new for me. India works in a completely different way than how like, you know, the work happens over here and how things are over here. But I would always say that even when I was in India or when I'm here, I've kept my passion as the forefront, because I really feel that, you know, you need to follow your passion. Like if you follow your passion, like, you know, that's what drives you. For instance, I'll just tell a little bit of thing about my background. Both my parents are doctors. Yeah, both my parents are doctors, and my brother is a doctor as well. So there was an unsaid thing, obviously, always an unsaid wish that I become a doctor. But I was always passionate about technology. And it would have been like, I wouldn't say easy, but it would have been like a better, like in terms, I would have had more support if I would have chosen medical, because my parents were there. They have their own setup, and, you know, I could have easily gone into and, you know, gelled into that profession and would have got all the support. But then what about my passion? You know, I chose to follow my passion. It was not an easy path, because, but the thing is, I take pride in it, because whatever I am today, I chose something in which I didn't have much support, in terms that, you know, I didn't choose something that, you know, for instance, medical, where I could have got more support. So today what I am because of me. When I came to this country as well, I had, as I said, this was my first move after marriage. I moved in. So my whole path, or my whole career journey that I've made in this country, I remember my first job in UK was in Basingstoke. So from London, I used to travel to Basingstoke every day. It used to take me at times around one hour, more than an hour one way. And, you know, it was a new country for me, honestly. And my first job is outside London. And I remember I used to change 2 tubes, take 1 national rail, and, you know, then take a bus. And that's how I used to reach my office. And that was my first job over here. But I've never given up on my passion, because my passion, because I always feel that if you do something that you really love or are passionate about, you never work in your life, because you just enjoy doing it, and
But
you'll flourish more. Yeah.
but my actual question, in terms of your personality, because you've been
Yeah.
so driven and you chose a field which was separate from your the easier choice,
Yeah.
that shows your passion. But when it came to your personality, when we are raised in India, a lot of women are taught to just hold themselves back. How did you, when you came here to work, were you able to integrate with the work culture and you felt, what, I am equal and I'm able to sort of support myself equally, or was that a challenge for you?
So I would say I was blessed in that sense, because I am from a medical background, like as I said. So that thing about holding me was never a thing, like because as Nija was also mentioning, it was a very open conversation, and we, like, I was basically, if I say, I was never raised as if I am a girl. I've never been told that a girl cannot do this, girl cannot do that. Basically, me and my brother were always raised as equals. So the thing, like, and I think it is more to do with how I was raised, that I had that sort of confidence in me. Basically, at the age of 23, for instance, I give this all to the way I was raised, because otherwise it wouldn't have been possible to break so many taboos that I was able to. At the age of 23, I made 2 robots, for instance, and there was a national daily who titled me as young scientist. So, and I'm a national athlete. I have done a poster making in United Nations awarded, and all of this. So basically, I give it all to the way I've been raised. I was never raised and never being told that there is something that men can do or a women cannot do. I've not been raised in that way. I have all the cultural, yeah. Sorry.
And did that follow post marriage, where you found, like Captain Neera was saying, that she's chosen, or she's blessed with a very supportive partner? Did you find that transition as well after marriage, where you found a partner, luckily, that respected and understood your field and supported you full-heartedly?
Yeah, so my husband definitely has supported me, but the thing is, the family, there was a difference in the family, in terms that his family is more cultural than my family. But I would say that, no, I always say this to all my friends or colleagues or whatever: no women is an island. And honestly, the way that they have supported me, and the way my husband's family has changed to support me, is incredible. I was like, I basically, I was in one of the advisory boards last year, to consult Indian government to improve public transport in India. I was one of the person in the advisory board, and it was not a one-person job. I couldn't have done it. So before saying yes, because I had a 1-year-old daughter, and she had to go with me. Before saying yes, I asked everyone, like, I can only say yes if we all work on it. So basically, when I was in India and I was traveling across the country, at times at times my mother-in-law and father-in-law were taking care of her. At times my mother was taking care of her. At times my husband, I will just talk about him. He took off from his office, used his annual leave so that he can be in India and babysit my daughter, so that I can go and work. So all his annual leaves last year, like in 2019, he used for babysitting my daughter. So yes, like, there had been changes, but I would say that the support system is absolutely important. And at times the support system exists. At times you have to make people understand, and you take them on a journey with you. And if they are your family and if they love you, they will try and understand you. So it's yeah, it's a journey that all of us make together.
So this is where I see a common thread between you and Captain Neera, where both of you have had parents that have made you feel extremely empowered.
Yeah.
I think so. The one message that I am taking from my series of chat shows with powerful women is the fact that when you are raising children, it is important that you understand that your daughter is as capable, or maybe even more,
absolutely,
to achieve her dreams. Captain Neera, when you chose to do work with the British Army, did you find that there was, I mean, obviously you work with them at the moment, but if you were to advise a young person entering the field, what are some of the character traits that you think a mother raising a daughter or a child wanting to enter this field should develop?
That's a great question. I do this a lot. So as an officer, as a commanding officer, I have a lot of young men, young ladies, some of them not even all that young, who come and who want to join. And it's so important that your family is behind you. So the characteristics, I think, which a family needs are exactly what Charul Ji has been saying. You know, they need to be supportive, they need to be open. With the army, a little bit of flexibility is also nice. Obviously, role dependent. Luckily for me, I'm very much here for the time being, so not much flexibility needed. But, you know, being open enough to have those discussions about, okay, you're putting yourself into this situation, asking the what if questions. What if you are deployed abroad? What are you going to do then? We've got 2 young children, for instance. Well, how are we going to put them into daycare? How are we going to sort that out if your husband's the only person who's at home? Opening up those questions from the start is so important. If you don't ask the questions, you're never going to prepare yourself for the things the obstacles which may come across your path. Yeah.
So what you're saying is that when families or when parents are raising their children, or when young girls are even considering joining these kind of fields, they've got to put that out on the discussion board from early days with whoever they are dating or they're planning to marry. Because obviously in India you have a lot of arranged marriages, and here you have a lot of scenarios where people go out together for years, and then suddenly you're saying, well, actually I'm choosing a field that might require you to probably look after the kids while I pursue some a challenging role for a short term. And are you open to that? And if a partner says, I'm sorry, I can't do it, then would you both actually say, I'm sorry, then this is not the right relationship for me?
So before I met my wonderful fiance, I was in the same boat. I was being introduced to people from family, friends. I was using online apps and dating and things. And I hadn't even progressed very far in my military career. I hadn't even taken really the first steps. And it's pretty much one of the first things that I asked. If I want to do this, if I want to go away, how supportive are you going to be? And I'm not ashamed to say that after the first date, if somebody has said, somebody's not questioned it, I would say, yeah. Somebody says to you why about your life choices and a potential life-breaking decision, or, a life-changing decision. Why are they asking you why? And why are they not asking why not?
Yeah.
How can I make this happen for you?
I'm sure. I think that's a great, that's a very good question. I also think that one of the things that if I were to roll back 22, 23 years of my life, I would say that when I came across these scenarios, and I'm sure a lot of women now are a lot wiser, but I never put that question out there and said, well, if I decide to go and study for a few years after I get married, is that okay? I didn't even think that was a possibility, or that was a question that I could ask, because where would I get the money from? So I think what you both are telling me, and I think it is important that people that watch this program, and the idea of powerful women is not just the word powerful because it sounds exciting as an adjective. But it also means that women have to have the right, or have to have the courage to stand behind their conviction. Charul, did you sort of have this discussion openly with your partner before you got married, or it just fell into place quite luckily?
Yeah, no, so definitely, of course. So basically, one of the things I like to say, because you quoted it, so I did my master's in London after my marriage. So that was something that I did it. And of course, everybody was supportive of it. I just like to put it in a slightly different way. I would just like to say that it's for both people. I think it's for husband supporting a wife and a wife supporting a husband. I think the question that, that will my husband support me? Why don't we ask that question? Will my wife support me? I think we have to move a little ahead now and start asking that. So I've been a strong, I've been a very strong woman in that sense, that would have been given in my relationship that, I when we came over here, I was with IBM and I was doing really good. I left my job and I didn't leave my job because obviously because I am a wife and because my husband got a job and I have to leave it. I left my job because out of the two jobs, my husband's job was better. And that is the reason, okay, he has a better prospect right now, so we will go with it. So when I did that, so he definitely appreciates it. When we came to UK, there was this question as well from one of my family members side that, now why do you need to work? You are in London, well settled, and just have a good life. Why do you need to work? Because luckily my husband was in a good job. So, and I was just looking at my husband and I was like, you have to answer this question. I'm not going to answer this question. And
Yeah.
he did answer that question. And he did answer that question. He said that, and he said the same thing, that when I came over here, Charu left my job. If, for instance, she had a job, would you all would have been okay for me leaving the job and coming? The answer is no. So why do we expect her that it is okay for her to do that, and why it is not okay for me to do that? So I always feel that it's both sides. It is like, if I am supporting him, for instance, my job is more flexible than his. He has long hours, so I take care of my daughter, I take care of home, I take care of everything. So in turn, right now, if I'm doing this call and he's babysitting my daughter, that's absolutely okay,
No guilt.
because that no guilt at all. Why should it be? you know
Okay.
so I think we need to have this and I think it's not about even conversations. We should just try and move towards the normalcy of this, because it's not like, we should be proud of what we do. We are mother, we are house, we take care of our house, we take care of our job, we do everything. And I'm proud of myself, and so I'm proud of all of you over here. So if in turn at times my husband does it, so it's not an obligation he's doing it. Like, if he's spending time with his daughter on a weekend, he should be like happy that he's able to do it, because he's not able to do it on weekdays.
So I'm going to ask, there's a few people that have joined this conversation, and I always
Yeah.
feel that the whole blessing that we have in terms of Zoom is that it should be an open interaction between everybody that has
Yeah.
taken their
Oh,
time.
absolutely.
So I'm going to invite, there's, I think, about 10 other participants. So I know Sarika, Manju, do you have any questions for our lovely guests? I can see, who can I see? I can see Sarika's, I think, I can't see anybody else. So maybe if when they connect again and they,
Yeah.
yes, go on. Do you have any questions?
Just wanted to say, Darshini, I've just got a message from Rita. She's just stuck in something. She's trying her best to come because the place where she is, there's no Wi-Fi. So she's trying her best. Meanwhile, you'll carry on. I'll just be in touch with her. If she comes, I'll just let you know. Yeah.
Okay, Sarika, unmute yourself and tell me, would you like to ask any questions to our lovely guests?
I really don't have a question. I was listening to these young children and I was like, my God, they're so passionate about something, and I felt so nice. And I'm going to show it to my son, actually, the recorded part of it, how you go about it. Sorry?
How old is your son?
My elder one is 11 years old and younger one is going to be 6. So, it's...
So when you choose, you look at your life. The reason I'm talking to you is because sometimes what happens is, you're in the Zoom call and you think, why I would love to participate. So my question to you is this: say in 20 years time, when your son is probably 30 or whatever, and you're you, oh, mama, of this girl.
Sorry, come back. I can't hear you very clearly.
Sorry, I said, if you were to advise your child on choosing a life partner, what would you say to your son when he chooses a life partner?
It's going to be a very difficult question, even after listening to the entire story. Actually, when I was back in India, I was chosen for Indian Army. And I'd gone to Allahabad to get selected, and I was chosen for Indian Army as a short service commission as a lieutenant.
Amazing.
And I had left my work. I was working for a corporate sector, and I left to join it. But somehow, in due course of time, with various feedbacks, I finally didn't land up there. That's how I am here. But what I have seen, it's a love marriage for me and my husband. And what I would say is, as long as you feel happy, you accept each other with their whatever it is, wholly and solely. It doesn't matter what one is doing, what not, because 100% you would not get happiness ever. But what best you can do is major portion of what the other person is, if you like it, that's how you should be. And that would be my take, because if you keep looking for a perfect person, that would never happen. So something what gives you happiness, I think that's what I would say. That would be my point of them.
Thank you, Sarika. See, isn't it exciting, Neera, that we have one that was on the cusp of making this decision of becoming, joining the army, but for whatever circumstances, life chose another path for them.
I mean, it's really nice, when I listen, I think probably it would have, I don't know how it would be, the grass on the other side is always green. It was very challenging. It was very gratifying. Even when I got because I was in IT and I was interviewed by a lot of brigadiers in a simple room. And when I entered, they said, why do you want to join army? And because, you have world in front of you, because you're a software engineer at that point of time, it was very back in, I don't know, when was it, 2001 or something. And I was like, that's a good question. And, back in India, out of 500 girls selecting out of 8, so many people were crying and they really wanted to go, desperately looking forward. And once I got it, I was feeling so proud of myself. Suddenly that matter of pride comes to you, when you have people looking forward to you and giving you names. I don't know how that decision was, but definitely after listening to both of your talks, I've listened to you earlier also. Darshini has interviewed you in the past, and I've heard that as well.
Thank you so much.
It's great and lovely to hear you both. Lots of power to both of you. And you, Darshini, as well.
Following us in this journey. We have another 10 minutes before we wrap up. And I would like to actually mention this to you. You are both blessed in some ways that you have had the power to follow your dreams and you've had the courage behind your conviction. I think that is the hardest step for every woman. I know that I struggled with finding that vision. It was only till I met my better half that I realized that actually I could do anything I put my mind to it. Before that, I used to always question my ability, So I think you're right about one thing: to have supportive parents, to have parents that treat you equally, and second, choosing a partner for yourself that encourages you. As advice to men, not women, or people that watch this program at a later date, what would you say that women should think is the key factor that lets them follow their dreams and not feel guilty all the time? Whether they're being good daughters, good wives, good girlfriends, good employees. So Neera, you go first, and then Charul, have a quick think about it and sort of tell me, how do you justify not feeling guilty about anything that you do?
I think guilt is something that is sometimes in this, especially in this context, in the context of a relationship, it's something that's a bit put onto you by the other person. If you're living a good and honest life, doing what you enjoy and what you're passionate about, you shouldn't have to feel guilty about that. If you're always living, a good life in whatever sense that you want that to be, if you're happy in what you're doing and you're not harming other people, then there's no reason for you to feel guilty for it, and nobody else should make you feel guilty for it. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent," and I feel that it's not guilt, it's inferiority that they're trying to make you feel. Again, it goes back to, if you've got that open communication, and if your partner is supportive of you, and equally as you are supportive of your partner, you shouldn't need to feel any guilt at all.
Good. I really do love that quote. Nobody gives you the power to feel anything unless you give them that power.
Yeah.
That's inspiring. Charul, what would you say is your mantra?
Yeah, so if I have to say something, I'll just say that, and I always, like in many of the places where I speak, I say this, that, as women, there is one thing that we do a lot. We doubt ourselves. All the time we doubt ourselves. So stop doubting yourself. Stop doubting yourself from now. And, that this doubt is at times what leads to guilt. And, the guilt keeps on increasing as your family increases. For instance, especially when you become a mother, your guilt increases. When I became a mother, and when I started back in office, every day there was a guilt, because sometimes she was not well, sometimes something used to happen, and I used to get calls from back home that I'm supposed to come back, and every day in office I was like, oh, today I have to go back because of this, today I have to go back because of that. And I started feeling a lot of, you can call it a guilt, but then I've talked about this before as well in few of my forums. But the thing is, then I started thinking about it, that why am I feeling guilty? I'm a full-time mom, I'm taking care of my home, I'm doing my full-time job, and if I'm able to justify all these three things, so why should I feel guilty about it? There is nothing to feel guilty. And as a result of it, earlier, my office calendar, for instance, used to say offline, or used to say on a lunch break or whatever, or I used to say offline, or I used to say whenever I had some things to do with my daughter. But now my office calendar straight away says childcare break. It says parent teacher meeting. Why I should feel guilty? When I'm doing what is expected of me, I have a daughter, she is 3 years old, it's my responsibility. And the world has to acknowledge the fact that I have a daughter, and that is given, and I have to take care of it. So my mantra would be, stop doubting yourself, be bold, and make decisions, and just follow those decisions.
I love that. I worked for the NHS in this lockdown as a creative person, as someone that writes musicals, that directs my own dance dramas, someone that comes from a PR and a very creative field. It was a challenge for me. I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to try something that I've never done before. It showed me a lot of good things that are happening out there, but it also showed me that actually I had to learn to say no without feeling guilty. And I think, Charul, I'm very inspired by the fact that you felt that you could actually put on your calendar saying that you are at a parent-teacher meeting. You're not saying, oh, you really need to pop out and you'll be back as soon as you can. You're proud to own up to that fact. I believe that, behind every successful woman, I truly believe this, there is a tribe of other successful women who have her back. I think that is so important. So that is why with Inspiring Indian Women, we try and find women that actually have the courage to do what is their deepest passion. I would like to say thank you to both of you for following your dream.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I also would like you to, constantly educate women around this country by sharing what you do. It would be my request to you, because it's so important. Because, the girls today, they constantly believe that, beauty and all those standards that they see on Instagram are criteria of becoming wonderful women. But I truly, when I meet women like you, I feel that actually the things that you tell me, even at any age, they are inspirational. So please don't stop with your network for tech women. I think that's super cool.
Oh, thank you.
And Captain Neera, you must constantly go out there and educate girls. I will ask my daughter's school to invite you to come and do a little chat on joining the British Army, because that would be really important. So I would like to end this program by saying thank you to both of you for sharing your time with us and inspiring all of us around the globe.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. It was
Any last-
wonderful.
I don't know if Rashmi is connected. Rashmi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, and this was really very inspiring episode. We do apologize that Rita could not join, but she has said that she will try and reschedule our program some other time. So sorry, viewers, all those who were waiting for her. And other than that, Darshini, tomorrow we have an episode on cyberbullying. So cyber abuse. I just wanted to appeal to all those women out there, all those who are listening to us on Facebook or watching us, that if you have ever experienced cyber abuse or any kind of bullying on social media, anywhere, WhatsApp, harassment of any sorts, people calling names, then please get in touch with me or Darshini Joshi. We would like to hear your story, because tomorrow we have Nandini Menon, advocate Nandini Menon from India. She is going to talk about what all laws are there and how you can stop this abuse. And this is not legal or ethical. Writing anything on social media about anybody, calling names, is against law. And we're going to learn a lot more about it tomorrow at 2 p.m. UK time. And Darshini Joshi is going to be the host for tomorrow as well. So Darshini, looking forward to the episode with you and advocate Nandini Menon. So stay tuned, everybody, tomorrow only on Inspiring Indian Women. Bye.
Hi.
Bye.
Thank you to Charul Gupta and Captain Neera Shah for joining us.
Yes, and also Ashok Kumar Chauhan sir, MBE. He's been very encouraging, very supporting, and he has been the, he has been the source of inspiration to inspiring women in many ways, and has been giving us very good, valuable suggestions often. Thank you so much, Ashok sir, for being there for us.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you for being with us. And Ashokji, bless us with your wonderful presence always. And Rashmi, I'm signing out. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Darshini. Always a pleasure. Bye.
Thank you so much, Rashmi ji and Darshini and Neera as well. Bye.